Namaste. Welcome to this week's TerraFlow session. I'm Annie Carpenter, and I teach yoga at Exhale, Center for Sacred Movement here in Venice, California. And we're here today with Tiffany Russo, who is my assistant and a yogini extraordinaire. And I thought what we'd do is we'd break down shoulder stand today, which is called Sarvangasna in Sanskrit. It's a really essential pose, considered by some to be the queen of all asana. And I think it really is an important pose and really creates a kind of health for the interior body. It is said to be very, very good for balancing the endocrine system. And I know to be true, just from personal experience and from many of my students, that it's very calming and anchoring to the nervous system. So when you've had one of those days, or even if you've done a practice that is very uplifting and stimulating, then this is a nice pose to kind of add in towards the end of your practice to help move your mind, your heart, and your nervous system to a calmer, quieter place so that your shavasana, your final relaxation, will be really lovely, deep, and glorious. So most of us need blankets to support the neck, really to support the shoulders so the neck won't move into too much flexion. The neck isn't designed to flex even 90 degrees for most of us. And if you don't use blankets, the head and neck will be at a 90-degree angle. And over time, that can just stretch out the ligaments of the neck and make the vertebra a little bit unstable. You know, if you do it once or twice, you'll probably be fine. But for most of us, if you're going to do it for any length of time, I recommend using blankets. So I'm going to show it today for Tiffany with 3 blankets. And what I like to do is to give a little padding for the back of the head is take one of the blankets and just release it down. And you'll notice here that all of the blankets are folded so that the neat edge of the fold faces, this is headward. Okay, I know that's not a real word, but it kind of works in yoga, headward, towards the head. And so you have a nice, neat little shelf here for the head and neck. And then because our elbows tend to splay out and we need the arms for support, for a lot of us it's nice to just pull the mat up about 2/3 of the way onto the blankets that are folded. And that just helps hold the elbows in. If you don't like that, don't use it. If you prefer to put a strap around the elbows once you get up, that's another way to do it. Tiff, let's come on up now. You want to make sure the upper body is warm. You don't want to do this when you're cold. And place the shoulders close to the edge of the blanket fold. And you can see already that because of this little shelf here, that she's got a little curve, a little ease in her neck. And the neck, the natural curve of the neck is not being flattened. It's being supported here. And that's what we want in this pose. Now, Tiffany is warm. Her hamstrings are released. She's already practiced today. Her upper back is opened. Her shoulders are warm. So she's ready to go. So go ahead and push into your hands and swing the legs up and over. And we'll start in Halasana, the plow pose. So her toes are going to come to the ground. Now, if your hamstrings are tight and your toes don't go to the ground, either bend the legs or get close to a wall and put your feet on the wall. That's a fine way to practice. Then interlace the hands, get up on the shoulders. And notice she's sort of stepping her shoulders in underneath. And that's sort of a way to get on the shoulders. In shoulder stand, just like in bridge pose, the shoulders are the feet, the anchor of the pose. And underneath here, the base of the neck is not on the ground. So here's the bridge. The water, as it were, flows underneath. Her neck is free, no pressure. Then once she's up on the shoulder, she's going to put her hands on the back. Good. And she's really open in the chest, Tiffany, so you can see nice, strong angle, hands flat on the back. This is not easy for a lot of us, so be patient with yourself, but work towards it. And once she feels that, shoulders press down even more. Let's do one leg at a time today, Tiff. Good. So you're going to take one leg up, maintaining the hips, and then the other leg will join. Beautiful. All right, and this is, you know, she makes this pose look really easy, and it does take a fair amount of effort, probably for the first few years, but it's really worth the effort. So you see that she's lined up, shoulders, hips, knees, ankles, all in a pretty straight line here, which is what we're aiming for. And I want you to, would you take your feet over your head a little bit? Do it badly. So you can see that as the hips and the legs go over the head, which is what most of us do in the beginning, that there's pressure on the head and neck. You can, I don't know if you can see it, but I can. Her head is actually getting a little red, so we're going to come back into alignment. So the blood will get rushed into the head. We don't want that. Okay, so this looks awesome. Hands pressing, Elbows, whole upper arm, shoulder driving down. So the base of the neck, you know that little knobbly bone right at the base of the neck? It's the cervical 7, the one that sticks out. That bone is actually ascending up. It's the base of the pose that's sort of rebounding up and creating height and lightness. And what you get there is that there's a series of glands, of small glands, from the base of the neck up into the head. And these glands are so we say, they're being stimulated. And so that's what balances the endocrine system. The other thing you'll notice is she's upside down, right? So the blood is draining out of the legs. The lymph, which doesn't have a muscular system pumping it, the lymph, which is the cleansing system of the body, is draining down. And all of that flushes, cleanses, makes you feel lighter, right? For once, you're not standing up and holding yourself up on your legs. So very calming, balancing pose. In the beginning, you might stay for a minute or two. Over time, you can stay 5, 10, even 15 minutes if it's comfortable. The minute you feel weight in your neck or head, time to come out. So we'll come out now. Coming out slowly. You're going to lift the hips even higher on the inhale and start to lower the legs, coming back into plow pose on the exhale. And she does that with just beautiful control, and you'll work up to that. Now, if you're fairly open, then you can bend the knees and let the knees drop around the ears. And this is Karnapindasana. You can wrap the arms around the backs of the legs. Again, you see Tiffany is a very flexible practitioner, right? So this may not be possible for you right away. Don't worry about it. But the idea of softening and rounding, and Karna means squeeze, and Pinda is, Karna means ear, Pinda is squeeze. And what we're doing here is sort of closing off all the sense organs. And this is a really essential concept in yoga, which is pratyahara, sense withdrawal. So in this moment, you're not listening, you're not looking, you're not tasting, you're not sensing anything except what's going on inside, right? And the shoulder stand, Sarvangasna, kind of puts us in that place of drawing inward so that we're ready to slowly roll down. And as you start to roll down, you can use your hands on the mat. And if the legs are tight, you can keep a little bend in the knees. And as you roll down, you may need to allow the chin to lift a little bit. You'll see that? That just makes it a little easier on the neck. And then the knees bend, the feet come to the ground. Take a breath. And then what's a really nice way to sort of finish this pose is to scoot headward and bring the arms into a soft cactus shape. You see her shoulder blades are just off. And this is a supported Matsyasana, which means fish. And you can see that we're softening the area that we just flexed deeply here at the base of the throat. And you're letting the blood come back through the legs rather than just popping up quickly. You might get dizzy that way. And let yourself rest here 5, 6, 10 breaths. And really allowing yourself to stay in this inwardly focused place of pratyahara and allowing yourself to sense the effects of this powerful pose, like we always do in yoga, pausing to acknowledge, to observe what the effects are so that those effects will deepen in our practice, but also they start to come into our lives, that sense of calm, of balance, of ease. So this is Shoulder Stand. I hope you'll bring it into your practice. I'm Annie Carpenter. Thanks so much. Namaste.